Hello fellow crafters, my name is George and this is the Spare Time G, and today we're gonna make my favorite machine gun, the Minigun. So if you enjoy my project, consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell to get notified once I upload a new project. So before we start, I wanted to share with you my interview which I had with Jackson. He does a really crazy animation stuff, and recently he interviewed me about my channel and my projects and inspiration. And if you are interested in that, the link would be under the description. So we start our building process by making barrels for the minigun. It has 6 of them, so you will need to repeat this process I'm doing right now if you want to do it my way 6 times. Actually 7 times, but I will show you later why is that. And here you can see that I am removing the cotton parts from these plastic tubes, which are perfect size for me, and at the same time they have the perfect size of inside tube where the toothpick quite easily fits. First thing is that you need to remove the cotton as clean as possible, so you leave the less distortions on the surface. And then using the scissors you cut one of them in half. Of course one part will fly off really crazily, but you will need that as well because you will make another one using that. Why I'm doing this? So the length of the tube, single tube, is not enough for me. I need at least half length more, and here I'm using the toothpick and firstly covering the top part with some clay to increase the drag force, and this will give me more kind of stickiness inside the tube, and it will not come off as easily as it would being bare just with its natural smooth surface. Here you can see that the result is quite neat. It is straight and there is not kind of bending or anything like that, and it will not be going anywhere soon. Here you can see that I'm making the clay tube, which is like little bit like larger, thicker than the actual tube I have prepared with this plastic. And the covering up this whole surface using this clay rod, so to say. Of course, I'm now like making a quite flat thing, so it can be over wrapped. And I have left some little spot, but it's not a big deal. You just use another clay piece and make it completely covered up. These barrels are quite complicated. And of course you can make them with clay, but at this thickness and considering the fact that it is coming, the summer is coming, it will be very prone to bending and even damaging if you bump it with something. And making this using this kind of style, so to say, gives you this sturdiness and at the same time quite a nice look. As you can see, it is really nice, neatly looking one. And here you can see that I'm right now trying to thicken up the end portion. The barrel thickness is not the same. It starts a little wider at the beginning when it is coming off the main body of the gun, and as it goes as it approaches the top of the barrel, it gets more and more narrower. And yeah, that is the overall look I'm going with it. And yeah, to be honest, it is quite a delicate process, and you will have to do it about 6 times, 6 more times, because the middle part is not a barrel, but it supports everything. So there is one big thicker middle rod. So this is the main body I have made, and here is the thicker version of our I really do not know the name of this thing, which goes in the middle and it is not being the bullets are not coming off it. It is just for supporting the surface, I think. I mean the weight of the whole construction. I'm not sure about that, of course. Right now I'm removing the clay piece from the plastic in order to squeeze it inside the main body without damaging it. Of course, if you had the clay still on, the clay part would not go in, and it will like distort and thicken up at the beginning of the rod, and it will be quite a horrible looking. Here you can see that I have made this kind of little circle around the main foundation, so to say, for the barrels, and I'm using the same technique to insert the actual barrels itself onto the main body of the gun. As you can probably notice, I have prematurely added some kind of marks where the barrels were going in. I had used the simple clay rod without the simple plastic rod without the clay coating, so that I was quite comfortable making the deep cut in the clay where the other parts are inserted quite easily. If you do it first time with the clay coated version, it will most likely bend where you're pushing it against the clay and will distort the nice and smooth surface of the barrel. And right now what you need to do is align them as perfect as possible so that you get this kind of 6 dot shape while looking from the top down. And you will need to align them as nicely as you can and quite closely together as well, in order to give it the distinctive minigun look. Yeah, this gun is one of my favorite ones because it fires 50 rounds per second. And here you can see that I have placing the top little kind of clay thingy, which makes the inner rod invisible, so to say. And this is actual for the minigun as well. And right now we will just simply have to cover the middle circle up with some clay outside, which of course again is like in the originals where the connection point is happening. And we will have to do the same thing with the top part, but right now the top part is going to be a lot wider, and at the same time it is going to be protruding outside the barrel length, which yet again is as in the original one. And here is the finished version, so to say, with all these triggers, handles, motion, engines, electric I suppose, and other crazy details I was able to see in the reference photos, or just used my artistic liberty to add some kind of cool bolts and corners and dots and so on. And I really like this different colored tube, which is connecting the two pieces of the equipment on the main body of the machine gun, and really, in my opinion, it really looks quite nicely. So the machine gun is all nice and dandy, but you need some kind of a sturdy stand for it to be placed onto the vehicle or on the helicopter. You won't be using as Terminator is, shooting from the hip. And here is the base for the stand I have made. As you can see, the top part consists of 2 rods of the steel, which are much easily able to cover, hold the body of the Gatling gun, and at the same time the center rod is kind of bent and it moves into this kind of base. I really do not know why is it this shape. My guess is that the gun can bend really nicely and the straight center would not be getting in the way, but I'm really not sure about the shape. I'm not really sure that this shape is because of that. And right now we will have to cover everything up with the clay and some nitty details. What I have done right here, as you can see, yet again I have used some real actual reference photos and my artistic liberty to do the stand mostly. You can see that it has one connection point in the below there to move left and right, and one on the top to move up and down. So it is really easy to maneuver and shoot wherever you like, so to say. And one more thing we will have to do is to make the bullet rails, and using the clay rod and some toothpick I'm making these kind of stripes onto the both sides of the rails. I'm not really accurate why the rails are needed. My guess is that the stiffness of it kind of makes Gatling to acquire bullets really fastly and really efficiently without jamming or something like that. Yeah, getting back to the rail itself, right after that we will have to use narrow stripes of clay once again and make this kind of outer layer, not completely but on the both sides like a teeth, going through all the way, all the rail long. And yeah, basically that's it. Here you can see the end product, so to say. I'm quite happy with this result. I really like how it turned out. In my opinion, the scale gives it even more neat, so to say, because of this small scale it still looks quite detailed. Of course I have used some reference photos, but at the same time it's not 100% accurate, but really looks nicely enough for me. You can of course use this one to decorate your diorama or a helicopter model or some kind of other zombie slash army kind of project. But for me itself, this gun itself is a project and sculpture, because yeah, I am a really big fan of it, and hope you are a big Gatling gun fan as well. I will include some links down to the description again of it shooting, and it is a really horrifying sight at the same time very cool to see. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I enjoyed it. It was quite fun for me because it is one of my strangest, smallest and detailless projects. Have a nice day and see you next time. Goodbye.